My biggest problem with the Galaxy S23 Ultra this year was not the feature set, certainly not the performance, which we'll talk about in a moment. It was the price. $1,379 to get the 12 gig 512 version, I thought was just a bit too much. But now, if you click the link in the description, which does help the channel quite a lot, by the way, and get yourself one of these, we could get that well under $1,000. I'm going to explain how. First off, it's bizarre, but much like last year, where they had it where they kind of got the 8 gig version off to the side, they forgot about it and put the default when you click on buy now as the 512 12 gig version. They've done that again, and they've lowered the price of the 12 gig version to $11.99. Now, I don't know if it's temporary because there's an odd catch. You can't get yourself the lavender, you can't get the slate, you can't get any, you have to get the dark green. If you get the cream, if you get one of the custom colors, deal's off. Goes back up to $13.79, which is odd. But if you're someone who covers it up with a case anyway, perhaps you like the dark army green, then it's a chance to pick it up pretty cheap. But I think that's temporary. I think eventually they're going to do like they did last year and knock the entire line down to $11.99 for the 12 gig version. And that's when this thing comes into its own. There's another reason why you might be thinking about picking one up, because it gets it under $1,000 on some of the devices, the key devices, where the trade-ins were pretty weak from the start, but are now pretty strong on, I think, the sweet spot of devices that you'd be upgrading to a S23 Ultra from. Let's go over them. Note 10 Plus, controversial one. That video still does really well because there's a lot of people that love their Note 10 Plus, myself being one of them, who wants to hold on to it for another year. You absolutely should. I'm not saying you should give up your Note 10 Plus for an S23 Ultra. I'm saying if you're in the market, if it's not quite meeting your needs anymore, if the battery life isn't quite what you want or expect out of the device anymore, $430. You trade in your Note 10 Plus right now, Samsung will give you $430. You throw that on the $1,200 deal, and now we're in business a little bit. Now we're starting to get somewhere where we want to be. $770 for this device, which I still think, and we're going to go over in a minute, is the best Android, certainly the smoothest Android of the year. You're winning, because this is going to be good for 3, 4, 5 years if you hold on to it. If you're someone who's still holding on to your Note Plus and some of these other devices that we're talking about, your Note 10 Plus rather, that's kind of the ballpark you're in. You're somebody who does that. And if you are somebody who hangs on to them for forever, this is, you could get stuck on a lot worse phones to be holding on for 4 years. Really, it's that good. You know, when I jump up and down and scream about the S23 Ultra, it is price-based and it is spec-based. It is not performance-based. This is a fantastic device from front to back. S23 Ultra, if you hit your head or something and you want to trade it in, you want an S Pen, basically. Better battery life S Pen, or you like the boxy design. You were a Note person where there wasn't a Note 21, so you just kind of gave in and you got an S21 Ultra at the end of the year, and it's been getting you through $570 for your S21 Ultra. Note 9, a lot of Note 9 people. You're going to be left in the dust pretty soon. Time to upgrade from your Note 9. Hey, listen, I love my Note 9, right? We've had this conversation a bunch. Last true Note, all the stuff, iris sensor, all that stuff that made it that old school Note. I get it. You want to hang on to it. $350 is a pretty strong offer. S20 Ultra. Oh boy. If you're still on your S20 Ultra, I feel for you. You should absolutely should be upgrading from that. I don't know how the autofocus stuff has driven you crazy and the various camera issues they had with that. $380 for that. Your Note 8. Your Note 8 with your Snapdragon 835 crying out to be put to retirement. $320. So I think that's the sweet spot of where you want to be trading in for this device. Get it sub $1,000. In some cases, if you're coming from the Note 10 Plus, get it sub $800. Get yourself the green one, or you can hold it. Listen, you can hold out, wait for the other colors. There's been sales randomly back and forth, but if you get the green one, you can take advantage of that deal now. I think in a month or two, that's going to be the standard on all the colors and all the variants. But right now, if you can't wait and want to trade in your device, you can do that. But this device here has been exceptional. This is the smoothest Android experience that I've ever had on a device. It really just, everything you ask it to do is super smooth. It's fantastic. The camera is excellent. The camera system, the video camera stuff I use sometimes here for YouTube is excellent. I love the screen size. I love the screen quality. They've toned down the punchiness that we've talked about from the S22 Ultra and certainly from the S21 Ultra, but it still does a great job. Brightness, you're going to have no issue. They've really toned down the curves as well on this device. It is a curved display, but you don't feel like it's that big of a deal or a big curved display, which is great because when you start pulling out the S Pen and start writing on the display, I like the fact that I have more screen real estate that I could use here without falling off the edge. I really love that. Design, they've made a little boxier as a kind of extension of the display not being as curved as previous models, so you got kind of a flatter hinge here that you could hold, rather a side here, frame that you could hold on to. It's a great feel in the hand. The matte lavender finish, you'd be getting the green one, but it's still a matte finish. Beautiful camera array. Love the design. I had no problem with them keeping this design a second year. If they keep it a third year, you kind of want to see some refreshes and stuff. But this design is fantastic, how they did the color matching on the side here, the metal frame. Overall, you get the wireless charging. You get the 45-watt charging. Not the fastest in the world, but at least it's pumped up from the 25-watt that we've had for however many years now on these devices. So I like to see the 45-watt back. You do get the wireless charging, reverse wireless charging. You get the autofocus here that you got. You got all the camera systems here. The 120 hertz display, really nice. And the cherry on top is One UI 5.1, and the best Samsung One UI 5.1 experience they have to offer is right here on the S23 Ultra, and that alone is worth the price of admission. Just, to me, the best Android distribution or skin that I've ever used is this. And that is coming from, let me just make sure there's nothing up here. To say that about One UI really just is shocking to me because of where it started and how it kind of ruined my experience on my Note 9 for the first 6 months of using it. One UI 1.0, as bad as TouchWiz was, One UI 1.0 was bad. Laggy, messes, hiccups left and right. But they have gotten to a point where they've dialed it in, paired it with the Snapdragon Gen 8, or rather 8 Gen 2, the power efficiencies there to get the battery life that we expected last year in a flagship this year. Whew, it's tough to beat. And it was really, to me, and while I was jumping up and down, it was going to be about price. Not about functionality. It's not about feature sets. It's not about battery life. It's not about any of that stuff. Price this year, because they were fleecing us. Really strong prices, poor trade-in offers, just wasn't a good combo. Now we've got the trade-in offers in line. They're pretty good right now. You've got the price kind of coming in line, especially if you're getting that olive drab one. So now I think is the time, if you've been holding out on one of those other devices and you've been really thinking about it, if you could get this sub $900, sub $850, sub $800, that decision gets a heck of a lot easier for what you get. Because if you're a user of this device, I want to know in the comments section, because everybody that I've had or I've heard that is just honest with themselves about using this device absolutely loves the performance. It is silky smooth. It'll do everything you need it to do and then some. It feels like a unified experience from front to back, whether it's software, hardware. It just feels like a proper marriage between the two when you pick one of these up. So if you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.